Long ago, in the windswept deserts of ancient Egypt, a remarkable story began to unfold. A story of faith, courage, and transformation that would echo across millennia. This is the story of Moses, a man born into slavery, destined to lead his people to freedom and remembered as one of the greatest prophets in history. Our tale begins during a time when the Israelites, descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, had lived in Egypt for generations. Once favored guests, they had grown numerous and strong. Fearing their numbers, a new Pharaoh, who knew nothing of Joseph or the Israelites' past service to Egypt, enslaved these people, forcing them into hard labor and bitter oppression. Yet, the Israelites continued to multiply, and Pharaoh's fear grew. In a desperate, cruel attempt to control them, he issued a chilling decree. All newborn Hebrew boys were to be killed at birth, cast into the Nile River. Amidst this climate of terror, a Levite woman gave birth to a son. For 3 months, she hid him from prying eyes, her heart heavy with both hope and dread. When she could hide him no longer, she crafted a small basket from papyrus, coated it with pitch and tar to make it waterproof, and gently laid her baby inside. With a prayer, she placed the basket among the reeds along the Nile's edge, entrusting her precious child to fate. Fate, however, had a plan. The Pharaoh's daughter, coming to bathe in the river, noticed the basket. Opening it, she found the crying baby and, moved with compassion, recognized him as one of the Hebrew children. At that moment, the baby's older sister, who had been watching from afar, approached and offered to find a Hebrew nurse for the child. Pharaoh's daughter agreed, and so, in a twist of grace, Moses' own mother would care for him in secret until he was old enough to live in the royal household. There, he was given the name Moses, meaning drawn out of the water. Raised as a prince in Pharaoh's palace, Moses was educated in all the wisdom of Egypt, yet he never forgot his people or their suffering. One day, as a young man, he witnessed an Egyptian overseer beating a Hebrew slave. Overcome with anger and a sense of justice, Moses intervened, killing the Egyptian. When word of his deed spread, Pharaoh sought to kill him, and Moses fled Egypt, escaping to the land of Midian. In Midian, Moses found refuge among the family of Jethro, a priest. He married Jethro's daughter, Zipporah, and became a shepherd, tending flocks in the quiet wilderness. Years passed, and Egypt's oppression of the Israelites continued. But one day, as Moses led his sheep near Mount Horeb, a strange and wondrous sight caught his eye. A bush that burned with fire, yet was not consumed. Drawn closer, Moses heard the voice of God calling from the flames. "Moses, Moses." Trembling, Moses answered. God declared, "I have seen the misery of my people in Egypt. I have heard their cries. I am sending you to Pharaoh to bring my people, the Israelites, out of Egypt." Moses, overwhelmed and hesitant, protested. Who was he to confront Pharaoh? What if the Israelites did not believe him? God reassured Moses, granting him signs and wonders. His staff would become a serpent. His hand could turn leprous and then heal. Still, Moses hesitated, worried about his lack of eloquence. Patiently, God promised that his brother Aaron would speak for him, and together they would deliver the message. Returning to Egypt, Moses and Aaron stood before Pharaoh. "Let my people go," Moses demanded, "so they may serve the Lord." Pharaoh's heart, however, was hardened. He refused, and in retaliation, increased the Israelites' burdens. Undaunted, Moses warned of divine consequences. Thus began a series of devastating plagues that struck Egypt. Waters turned to blood, frogs swarmed the land, gnats and flies filled the air, livestock died, boils broke out on people and animals, hail and fire ravaged the crops. Locusts devoured what remained, and for 3 days, darkness blanketed the land. Each time, Pharaoh's resolve faltered, then stiffened again. Finally, Moses warned of a final, terrible plague, the death of every Egyptian firstborn. The Israelites, following God's instruction, marked their doorposts with lamb's blood, and the angel of death passed over their homes. The cries of grief in Egypt were overwhelming, and at last Pharaoh relented. "Go," he commanded, "leave Egypt, you and your people." If you are enjoying this remarkable story of Moses, please hit the like button and share with friends and family. This will help me greatly to keep my channel going, to be able to share more Bible stories with you. Subscribe, and also hit the notification button so you can be notified of any new stories published. If there are any stories you would like us to share, please write your requests in the comments below. Now, Lobtees, get back to our story. With haste, the Israelites gathered their belongings and set out into the desert, guided by Moses and by God, who appeared as a pillar of cloud by day and a pillar of fire by night. But Pharaoh's regret was swift. He pursued them with his army, trapping the Israelites at the edge of the Red Sea. In desperation, the people cried out. Moses, trusting in God's promise, stretched out his staff over the waters, and the sea parted, forming walls of water on either side. The Israelites crossed safely, and when the Egyptians followed, the waters crashed back, drowning their pursuers. Free at last, the Israelites began their journey through the wilderness. But freedom brought new challenges: scarcity of food and water, fear and doubt. When the people grew hungry, God sent manna, bread from heaven, and quail to eat. When they thirsted, Moses struck a rock at God's command, and water flowed. At Mount Sinai, amidst thunder and lightning, Moses ascended to meet God. There he received the 10 Commandments, laws meant to guide the Israelites in righteousness and justice. But as Moses lingered atop the mountain, the people below grew restless and fashioned a golden calf to worship. Descending, Moses saw their idolatry and, in anguish, broke the tablets. Yet, after pleading with God for mercy on behalf of his people, Moses received a second set of tablets, and the covenant was renewed. For 40 years, Moses led the Israelites through the wilderness. He faced rebellions, interceded for his people, and taught them God's laws. He saw the promised land from afar, but because of a moment of disobedience, he was not permitted to enter it himself. On the edge of Canaan, atop Mount Nebo, Moses gazed upon the land his people would inherit. There, his journey ended and he died, remembered as the servant of the Lord. Moses' legacy endures, not just as a leader who delivered his people from bondage, but as a teacher, a prophet, and a symbol of faith in the face of overwhelming odds. His story speaks to the struggle for freedom, the power of hope, and the enduring call to righteousness and justice. Moses taught us what faith in God can do for us, and that we can also have a personal relationship with God, God's richest blessings, and always walk with God.